So let's put this into action. Let's see if this can alleviate any of the stress on people. And if we still have a problem, we adjust it more.
Perfect. Okay, you're saying put which part into action?
The classes.
The removal. Correct.
Yeah,
the
removal. So make an announcement, introduce a new SOP. Go ahead.
Sorry, what do you mean by classes?
It'd be a 30-minute class to essentially.
I respectfully fully disagree. I mean, you're literally saying someone with a 1 DAP for not putting paperwork in on time or insubordination has to go to a 30-minute class of which somebody here has to hold.
No, that's you misheard me. If they want to remove a DAP and they are over a threshold, say 4 or 5 DAPs, it'll be up to the instructor, which will be FTOs, to do a class on that, or a captain to do a class on something they've been DAP for. Yes.
So you're telling me these classes will be held weekly or just when people request them?
When requested, when you break a threshold. It wouldn't be open to people with 1 DAP. Why would you need that at all?
I'm gonna turn this down real quick. I'm gonna make the note now. If people here can't hold their fucking own and chill the fuck out and remember that this is a video game, I will personally just start banning people. Please behave. Please be good. This is called Conflict RP. Thank you.
Duncan does it himself, right? A lot of these self-inflicted.
No, I'd rather not have emote only.
Yeah,
I'd rather have people speak their mind because I'd like to wait out the morons.
But I get what
if
you're
I'm being
saying.
honest.
You're saying 1 DAP of insubordination or not following the chain of command or wearing the wrong hat shouldn't have an everlasting effect than somebody discharging a firearm, excessively to a suspect, right? Those shouldn't hold the same kind of weight as far as length. I get what you're saying. But how do you make a system that is simple yet fair?
I personally think it's going to be very tough. Say I just received, a 3 DAP or a 5 DAP or whatever it is. And then I say, I'd like a class. And so you put the class together the next week, boom, my points are gone.
1 point.
What? So what's the point in taking the class if it's just 1 point?
Because you remove a point.
Well, then I'd like a class every day this week so that I can get rid of all of them.
No, but we limit that to 1 every 2 weeks. There needs to be repercussion for people's actions.
Hear me out.
I understand that.
20, 40, 60. 20 for minor, 40 for moderate, and 60 for major. I think that's a very good compromise.
I think the classes, in theory, might work, but in practice, I don't. I think that is a little fix, and I genuinely think the best long-term fix here is the shorter drop-off period for things that aren't as serious. I genuinely think that's the best fix. And that is looking at the incidents, and I agree, yes, a couple of people are yapping away, but there might be some truth in that. People that are like 3+ DAPs should obviously be held accountable, and that should hang over your head like a pendulum to remind you that we are having people accountable. But then I also see it as when you're around that 3 DAP area and it keeps happening, and you've got 3, 6, 9, 10, boom, you're over the threshold. You got no leg to stand on anymore. Especially if you implement a shorter drop-off period, because at least that's looking at the system, and people see that and being like, okay, they're actually trying to change and do a little better, because it makes sense to me.
I will tack onto this real quick and just say, out of all the suggestions that I've heard, because people have come to me with suggestions for the DAP system, this is probably the best answer I've heard so far, if I'm being completely honest. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, captains, that's up to you guys, but by far.
I just want you guys to know that we're not talking just on behalf of those that have been DAP. We're listening to the people, we're listening to the officers, we're listening even to the PPOs that are hearing what's going on, watching what's going on with our officers, and are reading and learning the SOPs, and then looking at the DAP system and are afraid to do things because they're just going to get dapped and will be fired.
What things are they afraid to do?
Escalate on a scene if necessary. When push on a scene if necessary.
You can do that as long as criteria is met.
I understand that, and you understand that, but we've been listening to the people, and there is this atmosphere growing, and we want to curb this because we want to grow a healthy PD. And at the same time, you know, we look at things like statute of limitations is 30 days, but if you get one DAP for not doing something correctly, it lasts for 60, and there's no way at the moment for it to roll off. So we're trying to come up with ideas to help these roll off a little quicker. Now, if you say, okay, Ruby, you get one DAP, but I also want you to do a class. You know, Ruby, you did this wrong. You're getting 3 DAPs, but I also want you to do the class, or I need you to reattend the next academy
Ruby's
to learn
right.
this portion. Then
I'm
think
way too
that is
tired to give my
acceptable.
input for this. I feel bad.
Yeah, to me that sounds like an uneducated PPO or cadet if they're afraid to escalate a situation when the criteria is met. They need to be trained properly then.
I understand, but you're only looking at one small portion of what's
That's the
going
portion you
on.
just
And
brought up, though, right?
correct, yeah.
Okay, what's another one?
Well, the atmosphere of all the officers at the moment.
Well, why do you think people feel that way?
Because that's all they talk about. To be honest,
And that's my point. I feel like
I hate it too. I agree.
So my point there would be like, okay, this air of DAPS is creating problems, and yes, you can argue that it's created by a small group barking and fucking moaning, but the way that I always see it, if someone's complaining, there's usually a matter of truth in there, right? That's the way I always look at it. I feel like I've made my point about the system. I think the suggestions that have been offered make sense, and at this point, it's obviously up for the captains to argue and articulate in how it should go forward. I just feel like as seniors, we're doing our due diligence to take what we've heard, talk amongst our seniors, and bring it up to the captains. Whether it actually gets changed or not is obviously up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, like, based on this conversation, I think that my idea that I'd like to propose to the rest of the captains would be 20, 40, 60. 20 for minor, 40 for moderate, and then 60 for major. That way, there's if you escalate things as police officer, it has a heavier consequence. And if you, wear the wrong uniform, you're not going to be deaf for 60 months, only for 20 days, right? And at least gives a little bit of a wiggle room and flexibility so officers don't feel like they're always afraid. But at the same time, there is accountability.
That's all. I think that's all we wanted to do. So you guys handle it however you guys want to handle it. It's been brought up.
All right. Anything else?
From our point, no. That's all we wanted to bring up, I believe. We'll probably be dealing with a lot of the PPO promotions tomorrow.
Okay.
Pending.
And how are the FTOs going so far?
Fine. No real problems.
Fine. Are you talking about the new cadets?
Yeah, with the new academy.
They're good.
Yeah, I like all of them.
I really enjoy them all, but they're all very fresh. Which is good. My take is next academy, this March one, should predominantly be people with prior experience.
That's what I'm planning for. Bring folks with
like,
a lot of experience.
When I mean predominantly, I mean all of them.
Yeah, probably most of them will be 80% of them will be a lot of experience. Maybe 1 or 2 like a naive or green.
I think overall the shift in shift 2 especially has seen 9-day differences from a week ago, just in every single aspect. Like when it comes to processing, people stepping up, pursuits, just overall, just how they're handling everything has been better every single day. There's improvement. So I don't know.
That's good. I mean, one more thing we talk about, and y'all were present for this. The incident that happened with in front of Mission PD. I want your opinion on it, honestly. If you pull up the command report that Ruby made, and then reference the incident report. So myself and Turner ran the casings. And the one on the Sawa closest to Mission PD came back to Vivian's Gray's gun. The two in the back came back to Lenny and Selena Frost.
Okay, and this is in regards to the
What-
I was
Hostage
not
situation
present.
out front.
Yeah,
So
so-
I was eating a bowl of pasta in the changing room.
I can step in and answer this very clearly. I think this is pretty night and day, and I think this is very black and white. Turner, you got on the radio and made the call. You were to only open fire when you make the call. You did not
Right.
make the call.
The call wasn't given.
It was not given.
So all three of them need to get talking to or adapt if you guys see it's necessary for adapt. That's up to the captains.
Gray's bullet was never close to myself and Declan. It was Frost and Lenny. In fact,
It's still a matter of fact
Oh,
of
no,
a
no,
call.
no.
Well, I mean, no. So the Gray would probably, if there was no call made and somebody shot, it wouldn't be as severe as somebody shooting close to an officer to hit a suspect.
Okay, so you were still in the middle. You had not moved yet.
Correct.
And-
I was at the trunk of the vehicle.
Okay. Gray's bullet went to your right.
Far right.
Correct. But there were officers right there that had just done the exchange with Kay. And what I don't understand is when I pulled up on the scene to start taking evidence, she was picking up her own bullets and stuff.
Did she document them?
She gave them to myself and Callista Bell, and we documented them.
Did she take a photo before they were picked up?
I believe I did ask her if she did, and she did say yes. I just have not seen it.
Okay, well, that photo is going to be a very important photo.
Yeah, we need a photo.
If she's trying to hide it, or if she's trying to.
I don't think she would hide it. I think
I don't think so either, but
No, me
if
neither.
she picked it up without taking a photo, that's something we'd have to talk about in a whole nother aspect,
Yeah.
right?
Right, that's
So-
one.
I was going to say, if you look at scene photo number 2,
This is
that
for the.
is her. This is report 2721.
Okay, this is the command report. Okay.
Yep, command report 2721. If you look at scene photo number 2, that's her bullet, a casing dropped right there. And then if you go to number 4, that is the projectile hitting the wall.
Mm,
So, and you guys were still in the middle.
correct.
Yeah. And there was an officer who the exchange had been made, correct?
It was three of us: myself, Aziz, and Declan.
Right. But one of you had already been exchanged for Mr. K.
Correct. So it
Being
was me and
uncuffed,
Declan.
right.
Yeah, it was me
Yeah.
and Declan. Yep.
Yeah, so it was Aziz that was on the right by the stairs. So she kind of shot in the middle as well.
God damn it.
I could. I mean, I'll reiterate my point.
Look at instant. Sorry, before you make your point.
No,
go to
no,
instant
you're good.
number 3107 and go to picture number 4, scene 4. Go ahead, Flop.
Respectfully, I lost
107.
count how many times Captain Turner got on radio and said, "You're not listening to Slacks. You're listening to Captain Turner. You're listening to me. You only shoot when I make the call." I lost how many times he said that. And I think regardless of who was in the way or how it was transpired, that was ultimately a captain's call. And it was not followed. And I think that there's a severe problem with that, especially in a high tense situation.
It was clear instructions. What do y'all think we should go? How should we go about it? I gotta step away here for a minute.
Yeah, you're fine.
Is this unsure how to have people understand the ability to when and when not to open fire?
Not only that, but also
This was instructed, and I think that's where the big issue's coming in, is that people fail to follow instruction.
They were given a clear order not to open fire, and they did.
They weren't told don't open fire. They were told you only open fire when the hostages are clear and safe, and when I say you can shoot. That was from Turner, and that was relayed. I don't even know, 5 times, 4 times, and as soon as the car didn't even make it around the block, shots started going off.
I will say that the radio was extremely busy. There were several times where I was unsure why certain people were talking on the radio when I was trying to listen to Turner or to Vivian, who initially started the negotiations. So I'm going to say I wasn't sure why so many people were talking. And of course, once the exchange was made, I think people just opened fire. They did not
So
tune in.
too many cooks. by the
Way
sounds of
too
it.
many.
I wasn't there again, eating a bowl of pasta in the changing room, so I'm only looking from the outside in. Just sounds like too many cooks. Lost in translation. That is again no real excuse. If you're unsure of whether or not you should open fire, you shouldn't open fire.
Yeah, I mean the best, bullet is probably the one that doesn't leave your gun sometimes. The best shot is the one you don't take.
Yeah.
Unless you're given an order to do it.
Yeah, if someone gives me an
and it's not
depends.
illegal.
Yes, there we go.
There you go.
If
I mean,
someone,
what would you recommend as a punishment for something like this? If y'all in my position, for example,
SOPs real quick.
Stand by.
This would
So
probably fall. Go ahead, sorry, Ruby.
2 of them are PPOs, correct?
firearms training.
Correct.
We do not, apart from Academy, which you get to shoot once or twice at, the firearms training is not as intense as some of us have had in previous jobs. Half of these people have never been in a hostage situation like this before. So they massively need training on this. Actually, I'd say a lot of people need training.
But my issue wasn't with especially Frost and Lenny is where they shot, right? And sorry, Gray as well too. Is where they shot and where the bullets went. I don't
agree.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It would just be. Sorry, go ahead.
I just don't agree.
And nobody was around and nobody gave the order. That's one thing. But the fact they shot without even listening and the bullet whizzed by 2 officers and it could have struck one of the officers and got him seriously hurt, that's where I have a problem with it.
It's just negligence.
Firearms training, depth. But like any good situation, we need to speak to them and do an actual look through. I mean, like the worst thing any of us can do is dap someone without actually hearing them out first.
Here's
of course.
Probably what's gonna happen. They're gonna say I just saw everybody else started shooting, so I saw it as well. Which is I don't know.
How though? Because only 3 people shot on that scene.
But they were all next to each other.
I mean, I don't be that guy, but it was probably Lenny.
Like
if you look at the casings and the projectiles that I was able to get, majority of them did not come from Lenny and Selena. And just so you know, when you do shoot your gun, there's just one pool of casings, if you understand what I'm saying.
It's like a weird game of reminding people they can't just roll up and take a cop hostage like that.
Howdy?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna head to sleep, guys.
Yeah, no worries, Bones. Good night.
What do you
Sorry,
want, Jesse?
I haven't been talkative.
You're all good, Bones.
Who's there?
Is that Jesse Adler?
Yeah, Hachu.
Oh no, slacks.
What?
Oh shit.
Okay.
Doesn't she have a warrant?
2 warrants, I believe.
Okay. Funny joke.
And Flops, no disrespect to your idea either. Okay?
Yeah, what's up?
I just want us all to come and suggest something that the captains can discuss.
No.
I don't see classes.
What's that? Oh yeah, no. I'm gonna make this clear. I explained that like shit. I'm on 2 hours of sleep right now. I'll keep it blunt. I've heard suggestions on the DAP system from so many fucking people. It's not even funny. People are afraid. I think a lot of us see that. And I brought up, so there was a commander report a while ago made about anonymous officer complaints. And one of the anonymous officer complaints that I received was in regards to their fear for just wanting to be on duty. So I said, okay, let me get more anonymous complaints. And I got like 11 or 12 officers on a document who all anonymously, excuse me, spoke their piece, and every single one of them brought up their fear of the DAP system. And I don't disagree with the DAP system. I just think it needs another layer. And I don't care what that layer was. Your idea is by far the best idea I've heard. I would even argue it's better than my suggestion.
I just want it on record that I think it needs to be changed, but Ruby's the one that suggests that idea. So
Of course, of course.
credit, it's
Yeah,
definitely
but
her.
we all want to see good things.
I know,
we
but
all
I've
want
got
to see it.
I pretty much have a thing where if somebody has a good idea, their name.
Go, I was
should
asleep
be on
best
that
fan
idea.
stream. Dude, you're fucking crazy, dude.
Let's just call it a senior idea.
Okay.
I do, brother.
I don't want people to feel.
What's up, brother?
Listen, I understand. I just don't want the DAP system to be the reason someone is afraid to be a cop.
I don't want this to be this weird fucking thing, right? Where, and I feel like everybody is just like, you've got a couple officers, and yes, let's just address it in the room. Cornwood, Shiesty, yes, good cops. Yeah, I think they are good at their jobs, but they're
Quick
also
run.
good at running their fucking mouths. And you know what's very easy to do? Bring people into a room, talk your fucking talk, and have them agree with you. But you know what I also agree with? The 13 other officers out there that aren't getting dapped. But when I argue my own fucking point, because I only want to do better, is there's usually truth, some kind of truth to what people are saying. So why shouldn't we look at that system and make sure it's doing right by the people we work with?
Right. I mean, that's exactly it. Like I said, when I started the whole thing, it was designed to be harsh. It was definitely designed to be very, very harsh, just at the tone, right? Are we always married to our ideas? No. SOP should never be concrete. It should be ever changing depending on the landscape and what's happening within our city and our department. And from there, we make the best call that suits us, so we can, make sure that we have a system in place that is fair, but also making sure that people are held accountable. And that's the hardest part, right?
Well,
Is
Espen,
because we don't want
there's
people to think
another
dabs
layer
are-
that
are
I'll
nothing, but at the same
bring
time,
up and
we
talk
also
about
wanna
too.
get the point across.
Not incident.
as far as
I mean,
making sure they
like
get
just
better.
bring up a chat after.
I don't want anybody to think I don't agree that DAPs shouldn't have weight. But like I said, the punishment should fit the crime. And the time served on the crime, if it's a misdemeanor, shouldn't match that of a felony.
I see
make
what you're
sense?
saying. What if we had misdemeanor dabs and felon?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Well, I mean,
no.
But we do. We do.
But that's what makes sense, right? Why is the time served on a misdemeanor DAP the same as a felony DAP?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's fair. It's a fair point you're making, and that's why I'm like open to the 20, 40, 60 idea. Some sort of a system in place to where, wearing the wrong uniform isn't the same as shooting a suspect multiple times.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. If Duncan comes see you, yaps his little Lorax head, like, "Oh, did you speak to a senior?" Nope.
All
Nope,
right.
I didn't. Also, I think Duncan's gotten a little better, by the way.
Yeah, I've only
Yes.
seen him once today.
Well, that's because he's in shift 3 now.
Roasted.
Sorry.
Oh,
Excuse me.
speaking of Flop, you've notified about the frost move, right?
Already
You have,
got it.
okay.
There was.
Corey, you look great, by the way. I took a train ride today. Fantastic. Thought of you.
Yeah, I did inform Shift 2 FTOs in the PPO channel. I did ask that if Shift 2 PPOs wanted to ping the note in the email chain, I was fine with that. But yeah, no one came to me and asked questions. I think the long and short of it was that there was approval from both you Slacks and you as well, Turner, for the transfer for Frost, and I think we're pretty set in stone with that. So
On transferring it, right?
yes, yeah.
We just want to. I mean, I'll reiterate to everyone here: we do not hire people with the intention of them swapping. Right? They need to be hired for their shift.
1,000%.
Yeah,
it's very demoralizing for FTOs
Yep.
to spend time on doing it and then they swap shift, and that's not acceptable. If they're going to be applying for a shift, that's a shift they need to be on. However, there are things that are out of people's control at times, so it's going to be most likely a case by case looked at case by case. So if it's just I want to swap because I prefer these hours, it's not going to happen. You're getting hired for a specific shift, and yeah.
All right.
All right.
Anything else?
There's got to be
No.
something else. We're not at 2 hours yet.
True.
Oh.
There's definitely more.
Tomorrow, or I mean, what, 6 p.m. Eastern, I think. City council meeting. We're all invited as captains. We're gonna talk about that proposal the mayor is making, and we'll come back to y'all to give you an update.
What you saying? We're all invited?
The captains are, as far as
Oh,
I know.
right. You said all the captains are invited.
Yeah, all the captains are invited.
My whole take on that is I personally will only ever listen to somebody if they have a badge on their chest when it comes to policing. And that is my entire take on any of that.
So even though there's nothing written, I've always operated under the fact that yes, we do answer the mayor's office. If we get questioned about something or we had a problem, mayor's office is who would come
At
to us.
6
or we'd go to
p.m.,
them,
dude.
right?
I don't know if I'm gonna be. I don't think I can be. I think I
but-
actually have a meeting at 6 p.m. tomorrow.
They shouldn't have control on hiring, firing, removing people,
No.
adding
Fuck.
people, changing the way we operate. If they want to recommend something, we'll obviously lend them an ear, but not full control over PD, which is and the thing is, it's not council, it's the mayor's office. A singular person would have control over it. It should be the mayor's office. I spoke to one of the council members yesterday who said that this has not been brought up. Usually things are brought up beforehand to kind of feel people out. Supposedly wasn't brought up, and that mayor
That's fine. If you're still here, I'll explain my point to what you were making before about
intentionally avoided them because they knew they'd be a proponent to it.
the
They found out from somebody else. Although after talking to Moulton today,
the whole
they
thing
write
about
things up
people
and then
getting
talk about it during the meeting. Not a huge fan of that they write something up, talk about it, and then vote on it directly there, and no time to
What
look
I find
into it.
very
But
what I find strange is we have a PD liaison. So why hasn't all of this been run through him and then brought to us? Instead, it seems to be just the mayor.
well, that's what we're gonna have a talk about after
Is
this.
just
So.
whipping
Right.
his
We're gonna talk to
fucking
Dakota
dick
about that.
out, slapping
Mhm.
on the table and being like, hey, it seems like you guys know what the fuck you're doing, so I'm gonna stand over you.
Yeah, I put it as bluntly as I could to Moulton today. It sounds like a power grab. Maybe there should be something in writing that we answer to him. But
Again, if this goes through, I'm not listening to the mayor.
Well,
Respectfully,
I think we cross that bridge once we get there.
Exactly. That's
we
my
figure
thought
that out.
process. I don't want
I
to burn
get
any
that,
bridges
but
unless I have to.
I will voice my concerns now. That is the mayor. I am obviously part of the government body. I'm sworn to protect him, right? But if he gives me an order, that's not happening.
He's not a law enforcement officer. He doesn't have the power to arrest, to prosecute. He doesn't have that.
That's the line I don't ever
That
want
comes with the
crossed.
badge you have on your chest. You don't have a badge. And believe me, I'm going to be very vocal tomorrow if I get an opportunity to be as well. So,
Hell yeah, Warner. That's my captain. You too, Slugs. So happy to see Turner back.
It's tomorrow should be interesting for sure. For me, I want to go into it, hearing their perspective, hearing their complaints and their frustration, and from there, figuring exactly what we should do and talk about. Because
Did I join Discord? X mentioned my
there's some
Discord.
talks of opening a new department. I think the main focus should be fleshing out the LSPD before we move on to a new
Tomorrow's
department.
gonna be a spicy day. In fact,
What is
tomorrow
this?
might be a good day.
Flushing out?
Get rid of the
refining.
turds?
Oh.
Polishing, having a chief of police and a full
Oh,
functioning chain of
okay.
command.
That means something different for me. Sorry
we
about that.
I mean, we have seniors. We don't have sergeants yet. That's intentional. We're intentionally moving at the rate we are. We
Tomorrow
need to
seems like a
fulfill the
good
ranks
day to
below,
take off.
Right? There's no point in putting somebody in lieutenant and
I got a bunch of shit I gotta
and-
take
and
care of,
sergeant
actually.
when we don't even
I gotta
have,
be an adult,
the staffing
clean up my place,
for the chain of
run out
command
and
to
do
actually be
stuff,
operational.
Go touch
So
grass.
We're building up to it. I Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things play out tomorrow. It's gonna be interesting.
All right. Anybody have anything else you want to bring up? Favorite color? Favorite flavor of ice cream? Favorite donut?
Strawberry.
Favorite bed and duvet.
Favorite duvet?
Duvet.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify real quick. Want to make sure that I'm on the right page.
Favorite type of train? Anybody?
No.
No?
Not really.
Turner, you got a favorite kind of train?
I was gonna say a very inappropriate comment, but I'll keep it to myself.
No, now we gotta hear it.
No, slacks. Respectfully, Captain. You know, I feel like if I would say that, Turner would bring it out of me. So come on, slacks. Respectfully, Captain.
Oh, you know, my favorite train is on your mother, right? But
What?
My mother, Mary, back in Ireland.
Oh my God.
She's a florist, by the way. A sweet little florist. Married for years, little old Irish lady, back in Ireland, back in Dublin, back in Tala, running a florist. She's barely 4 foot tall, married to my father for 20 years, and you're running a train on her, slacks.
it was just a joke. I was a payback from yesterday too, as well.
What?
I think we'd like to offer you one senior DAP.
Yeah, we're gonna senior dap you.
Sure, I'll take one.
Slacks. Yeah. that has an 80-day fall off, by the way. You can take a 3-hour class for half a dap.
You should make it 90.
No, 3 hours on an actual train around the city. That would be cool.
Ooh. Torno, I'd love that. We a Torno.
All right. You guys get done, Dakota. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Captain.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for your time. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, y'all take care.
Oh,
Wait, Nakota.
Real quick, I just want to clarify. Seeing as there's a proposal now on the table for tap system, do you still want me to write that? I can write it, and if it works, it works. But
No, hold off on it for the time being, and the captains will have to talk about how we're gonna go about this.
okay,
Sounds like we're at a bit of a disagreement, and we'll have to hammer this out and figure out where we want to go with it.
all good, not a problem. I will leave you to it then. If that changes, feel free to let me know, and I can start writing that.
Yep, we'll do.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Did you get my text?
Let me know if that changes.
Me?
Yes.
Stand by.
Sorry. Hello there. Sorry
I
about
will
that.
look right now.
Thank you.
Yep, not a problem.
Howdy, everyone.
Hi there. It's a pleasure to meet you. I know Flex, but I don't think we've met before. I'm Dr. Philippa Cantor.
What was the last name one time?
Dr. Philippa Cantor.
Philip Cantor?
Philippa Cantor. Sorry, my accent's too harsh. I can't say it any other way. No, you're good. Don't you worry.
Well, we survived. Congratulations, chat. We did it. We did it. 2557. I don't know which report he's talking about though. 2557. What? Corruption as a PPO? It was a joke. I don't. I mean, to be fair, Dude, I don't. I I don't know. Bob wants to give his input. Let's review this. Let's be I'm hiding in this fucking this little corner here for a minute. I need to look at this. How are you even coping with this, PD? By role playing and just letting the role play happen in front of me. Do I have my opinions? Of course I do. But my opinions aren't going to mean anything. I'm still going to follow through how my character would. Two, 24, 2024. 125 F2 going. Attitude should be addressed as something that needs to be so attitude should be addressed and it's something that needs to be reports not filed properly has plagued him previously and while given he's not adjusted properly. I don't know. Miss Bombastic, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate you. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Hello. Hey, yo. What's good, dudes? Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Bombastic. Thank you, Ruby Raid. What's up, dudes? Sorry, we're going through another report right now. We're going through a command report at the moment, but fucking hey, I appreciate all the loves, dudes. What's going on? I'm Chris. I play Flop. Fix the PD now. I'm listen, we're trying. I think something very interesting about Ruby. So maybe this is the way that I view the situation. Ruby and Flop have always been on a very similar page. And I think a lot of the seniors, it's very, how do I say this? I think the interesting takeaway about that meeting is I find it very intriguing. And I think maybe this is why Flop feels the way that he does. It's very interesting that the opinions of, I would say, just about every senior that is currently operating in the police department has a very similar opinion. I didn't think McNulty saw any issue with the DAP system, but to actually hear him bring that up surprised me. And to hear Ruby express her concerns, it definitely added weight to where I saw the, I don't know. Give us ads. I run so many ads on my channel. I'll be honest. I'll be blunt. I don't ever want anyone to feel obligated to subscribe. So I do run ads. I've never pushed for subs. I don't know. It was never really my thing, but ads help out a lot. Give us more. I can only give so many. Okay. These are boxes where all the daps are kept. This is just a command report. What's the chances Cornwood keeps his job? I mean, it's kind of hard to say because I don't know. That's kind of a hard one. Yo, Corona, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate you. Thank you. Sorry, dudes. I'm on like 3 hours of fucking sleep right now. We're going through this report right now, but I'll come back to it. I'll talk with you guys for a minute. I think there's a couple different areas of contingency that I think could be expressed. The way that I see, so the way that the way that Flop has explained it in character, and this is truly how I think Flop sees it because he's talked to so many people, is that you have to look at the police department like a business, right? You have to look at it like an actual like workplace, not a government entity, not a police department. It needs, how do I say this? It needs to be viewed in a different perspective. And I think the perspective is, for example, in a business. And this is how Flop explained it to, I think, 4 people, including, I think, Cornwood and Turner and a couple other people. The issue right now is that if you look at captains like bosses, you look at, so captains are bosses, seniors are managers, officers are employees, and cadets are interns, right? Right now, there is a lack of delegation. And I think the problem with the lack of delegation is where you see a lot of the issues. If the bosses of the company are doing most of the legwork right now, they spend less time in the field and more time, you know, focusing on whatever it is inside of their business. And what we're seeing a lot of right now is we're seeing a lot of, what's the phrasing I'm looking for? If you spend less time in the field and less time with what your business is about and more time about what you're focusing on, which is the internal side, the boss is only going to understand and be up to date with the internal side of their business. So, for example, the captains, I think, are primarily seeing their police department from the inside, but they don't see it from the outside, right? And I think that there is, I think a good word is disconnect. And Flop explained this all to Turner yesterday. That, you know, it appears that there is a disconnect because regardless of the intention of the system or the reason of why this is happening, regardless of how it's intended to be viewed, this is the way that it's being transpired to everybody else. This is how people feel. So, is there a way you think you could help them adjust their view? I offered delegation yesterday. But I do think the big takeaway is a business cannot function if the boss doesn't know, or sorry, I don't want to say can't function. It can't function at full capacity if the boss is not aware of its operation at every level, right? And the reason I bring this analogy up is because I don't think, how do I say this? I don't think we're at the point of no return. I think the issues that we're dealing with right now are fixable. And I think people saying that it's all going to go to shit is, you know, unfair to say. I think the real mesh, like the message, the real takeaway of this, and I'm talking kind of slowly because I want to make sure that I'm wording this properly, is that people are I lost my train of thought. So much for talking fucking slow. I forget what I was saying. Shit. I think the PD is fixable. And I think the people who are seeing it more often and seeing it from the streets are the ones that are being the loudest voice in the room. And I think once you hear enough perspectives, that's when change can occur, right? How do I know this? We've been talking about the DAP system for a while, right? We've been talking about how it operates. We've been talking about the way that it works. Really trying on all like levels to figure it out. But the people that are speaking the loudest in the PD are going to be the seniors. Why is it the seniors, right? Because if you look at the PD like a sandwich right now, everybody below is the bottom bun being supported by everything in the middle of the sandwich and held together by the top. Right? And right now, everybody has to go to a senior. And then the senior brings it to the captain. Right? So seniors are going to hear most of the concerns right now. It is per the chain of command. So in these situations where, 4 or 5 seniors get together and bring it to the captains, it's not that we heard it from somebody and now we're going to run with it. It's because we've heard it now from 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 officers, right? So that's where we're trying to build I guess you could say a healthy establishment. Also, by the way, thanks for getting us back to 500 subs. I do appreciate it. It keeps falling to deaf ears, and it might. Hey, listen. I'm going to tell you something very interesting about Flop as a character, and it's something that Flop has that no one else does. Flop, this might sound crazy. Flop knows what his values are. This is some lore for you, so if you enjoy character lore, get ready. Flop does not have a lot of trust in the government. And I'm going to bring something up. Flop has concerns that if the government gets too close to the control of the citizen again, he's going to practically give up. And the reason is because of everything that happened, and we'll call it 3.0 for now. The end of 3.0, the war happened. Flop did not support it, but he was told and demanded he was to go to war. And Flop is now into this with the idea of he's going to do what he feels is right. But the moment someone flies too close to the sun, he's willing to drop it all. Flop does not hold any bearing to how the police department is going to go. And for, I guess, a little deeper lore, Duncan and Flop had a conversation a couple weeks ago, venting, not Flop, specifically Duncan, venting about stuff going on. And the takeaway of it was Duncan looked at Flop and said, Flop, do you feel like you could take a day away? Do you feel like if you left for a week, do you think you would survive? And the response Flop gave was probably one of the most important ones to how he feels about the PD. Flop looked at Duncan and said, Duncan, would you like me to answer that professionally or unprofessionally? He said both. And Flop said, professionally, I believe that the police department is going to need to find a way to function when I am not here and when I need to take my absence as they come up, as time will come where I will be away. The unprofessional answer is I don't give a flying fuck if I leave for a week and this PD burns to the ground. Right? Flop as a character has that mentality. He does not care. His exact response was he doesn't give a flying fuck. Because the reality is this. You can, and I use this analogy with Duncan, but I think this is a healthy analogy. You can tell somebody that a pan is hot 1,000 times over. But if they choose to keep burning their hand, you can't stop them. Eventually, at some point, you can't educate somebody about touching a pan when it's hot. They're just going to fucking touch it and they're going to burn themselves every time. Right? And the way that Flop sees it is he's going to do everything he can to make it right. He's going to do everything he can to keep it healthy. And he's going to try and make his efforts to make this PD the best that it can be. But at the same time, if it were to fall apart tomorrow, Flop's not going to shed a fucking tear. So, yeah, Flop respectfully has not been verbal about that with anybody. In fact, the only person he's been verbal about that with is Duncan. No one else actually has that information, but now chat does. So, yeah. Let it burn to the ground and start new. Well, here's the thing: is Flop's gonna fight it till the very end, but at the same time, if let's say it all burns at the stake, Flop isn't gonna turn around and shucks, shrug it off and grab a handkerchief and cry about it. He's just gonna turn around, put his badge on a table, and say, "Okay, see ya, good luck." So that is the current lore of Flop. There's a lot of lore to my character. Character's been around for a while. I think he's a really good all-around character. He's here to have a good time and to create a good environment for people. The whole goal with Flop as a character was to be a character people like to be around. And there's a reason why people like to approach Flop as a character is because I want him to be an approachable character. Why? I love the interaction. I love the story. I love having that opportunity. And I want Flop to be that kind of bubbly character that people can look to. At the same time, though, what you get, you feel that the PD is fractured with factions. Fractured with factions? I don't know. I don't quite know what you mean by that, if I'm being honest. But yeah. How much do you think that would actually impact the PD? You want my honest answer? Easy. I'm gonna go ahead and time you out for a little bit. I'm gonna let you take a fucking breather. To say that somebody wants something more OOC than I see is an assumption, and the problem is that you assuming makes an ass out of you, and it's not a good look. The amount of roleplay that has been so good recently has been, it really has been great. The full honesty, I think officers who bring a positive mindset. So this is why Flop is the way that he is, and there's a reason why he enjoys this environment, and he considers it a very healthy one at that. The reason why Flop knows he's approachable is because he makes himself approachable on purpose so that people feel comfortable to go to Flop. And he loves that. He absolutely loves that, right? But the takeaway is that it's people like Flop who give people sort of that calming effect. And I think if you fire officers who have that calming effect, quote unquote, or that positive morale about them, if you start picking those people off, you're only going to be left with no morale, right? I really do think on a, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a lot of like heavy OOC feelings about conflict RP. I enjoy conflict RP so much, and I really don't care about the OOC effects per se. But I definitely do enjoy more freedom to be creative, right? Because NoPixel is a sandbox. It is a place where we get to create and build. And I think that there are properties that we really have an opportunity to shine in. But I also think there's other areas right now where a lot of people have expressed in character that they are concerned about being able to kind of be expressive of their character. And I think that in itself is where we kind of fall into an interesting category. I don't think it's a bad category by any means, but I definitely think that being a little looser can be viewed as healthy and can be integrated very properly. Does Flop see any instance in which he would leave the PD before termination or PD failure? I'm debating if I want to answer that. There's a lot of questions I get asked about Flop and sort of the way that I play him. But I also like to keep a lot of the authenticity of the character at its core, right? I really do feel like at its core, that's a hard answer. Because I know the answer, but I think it's more interesting if you guys experienced it with me. You know what I mean? I miss seeing Flop with sticky buns. I know. Do you think having the sheriff and LSPD is going to make problems? How do I answer that? I think if the idea, I'll say this. If the idea is to have essentially an extension department from the LSPD, if the way we're treating the sheriff's office is that it is an extension of the LSPD and essentially is, you know, a separate department, but is to work hand in hand and essentially in tandem, for lack of a better term, with the LSPD. The problem is that I think right now a lot of the conflicts that are being brought up in character would not be resolved by opening up the sheriff's department. Now, with that said, I think the other side to that argument, though, the other side of that coin is that I don't think that those problems are resolved if you didn't open up the sheriff's office. Right? Because think about it. Right now, what Flop is dealing with and what the seniors have proposed in certain aspects is problems within the PD. They're getting pushback, as they should. Productive conversation, healthy conversation. I know it's viewed as, oh my God, the captains are horrible people. Not the case. But the way that it's being perceived is, okay, we're concerned about what the end goal is if we were to have essentially a separate department. But right now, and again, I want to make this so clear, I'm talking in the